Hi students and other viewers. In today's presentation we are going to study of flowers with respect to calyx, corolla, perianth, androecium and gynoecium. So we can start with today's presentation. In this presentation we will be focusing over all the detailed descriptive morphological terms of calyx with respect to corolla, with respect to perianth, with respect to androecium as well as gynoecium. So in this presentation, which things we exactly are going to learn, here you can see on this slide that all parts are kept there without labels, and instead of labels just question marks are added there. Now actually what these question marks are and for what purpose these are marked there. So actually you need to focus over these labels, that what is name of this, what is name of this part, what is name of this part, what this part is, what this is, what this label is. So all question marks I have kept there, and we are trying to address all these question marks in the form of answers so that we can begin with the actual presentation. So at the beginning we will learn about different parts of flower. So basically there are two different parts in the flower. Of that, the first group is there, that is non-essential parts, and second group is there, that is called as essential parts. Non-essential parts are again differentiated into two different parts. Out of that, first is calyx and the other is corolla. The member of calyx is called as sepal, whereas member of corolla is called as petal. And when we move to the essential whorls of the flower, again they are differentiated into two parts. First is androecium and second is gynoecium. Androecium is male reproductive form, is female reproductive form. Now member of androecium is stamen and member of gynoecium is carpel. So we will study all these in details now. We will start here with calyx. So if you look this is actually corolla, and if you look this green part which is calyx, and now we will focus on this part. So cohesion of the calyx is of two types. One is polysepalous and other is gamosepalous. Poly means free and gamo means fused. If you look here, this is one sepal, this is another sepal, and this is another sepal. So these are free and which are representing polysepalous condition. And if you look here, this is a unit, this is a common structure. There are no separate lobes, there are no separate sepals, they are united together, and it is representing gamosepalous, means fused condition. Now next part under the calyx we learn, that is estivation. Now meaning of estivation is what? Arrangement of floral whorls when it is in bud conditions. So whenever the flower is earlier in the bud condition, at that time how the parts of floral whorls are arranged, accordingly there are different types of estivation. Out of that, first is valvate estivation, where you can see this is one sepal, this is second, this is third, this is fourth, and this is fifth. But if you see their margins, they are not overlapped anywhere. They are completely arranged end to end. There is no overlapping. But in case of twisted estivation, you can see that it is originating from inside and ending to the outside. Same in, out. Here it is in, here it is out. Here it is in, here it is out. Here it is in and here it is out. So there is a twist. One overlaps the other. One overlaps the other and being overlapped by previous one. So this is a twist. This kind of arrangement is there. Imbricate type of estivation is there, where one is completely out, one is completely in, and remaining three are alternating. Here you can see this one, this is completely out. If you see this one, which is completely in, and if you see this one and this one, they are alternating with each other. Then quincuncial type of estivation, where two are completely out. So this you can see, this is out, this you can see, this is out, this is in, and this is alternating. So this is two in, two out, and one alternating. Here one in, one out, and three alternating. And vexillary type of estivation is there, which typically can be seen in the members of Papilionaceae. Actually, most of the time this type of estivation is there in corolla, but here we can learn that this is bigger, which is called as a standard. This is called as a standard, bigger one. These two are called as wings, and this one, which is actually fused at the base and forming a boat shaped structure, that is called as a keel. So if you count the number, standard is 1 in number, wings are, and keels are also 2 in number. 2 are completely in, these two are alternating, and standard is above all. So this kind of estivation is vexillary type of estivation. And this you can see in family Amaryllidaceae, where 3 perianths are in and 3 are out. It may be for calyx, it may be for corolla, it may be for perianth. But this is very interesting and a unique term. This is called as a imbricate alternate, and which is there in family Amaryllidaceae. The next part we learn under the calyx, that is caudacus. Caudacus means what? This calyx soon after fertilization fall off. Deciduous type of calyx, which takes little time to fall off after fertilization. Persistent means what? After fertilization, this calyx remains as it is. Then this persistent calyx is again of two types. First type is marcescent and second type is accrescent. Now what is marcescent? Marcescent means calyx do not show any growth after fertilization. Do not show the growth. It remains as it is irrespective of size of the fruit. But accrescent is a kind of calyx where it grows even after fertilization. So this you can see in Physalis, and this marcescent type you can see in Pseudium, that is guava. So these are duration of different calyx. Now next part, that is corolla. As this part we just seen, that was calyx, green in color, protective whorl, outermost whorl of the flower. This is mostly non-green or color differently, and it is second whorl of the flower. This is one of the non-essential whorls of the flower. Mostly it is colored and fragrant for attraction of insects. So let us learn that what corolla is. The member of corolla is petals. So let us move to the next slide. If you see the number of petals and its cohesion, these characteristics we see. Number is what? Number means simply count that how many petals are there. So if we are counting here the number, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and another is there, that is called as a cohesion. Cohesion means what? Cohesion means when one whorl of a flower is attached to the member of same floral whorl. Means what? If you are considering corolla, then member of corolla is petal, and if one petal is attached to another petal, that is called as a cohesion. It may be attached, it may not be attached. In this figure, it is not attached because this is separate, this is separate, this is separate, this is separate, and this is separate. So this is free. That is called as a polypetalous condition. Whereas if you look into this, such type of separation is not there. This together has formed a unit or tube-like structure. So they are fused with each other, and hence that condition is called as gamopetalous condition. So this is called as a cohesion. This cohesion is with respect to calyx, with respect to corolla, with respect to androecium, with respect to gynoecium. So 1 to 1, calyx to calyx, corolla to corolla, androecium to androecium, gynoecium to gynoecium. This is called as a cohesion. So it is of two types, polypetalous and gamopetalous. Then here we can see with respect to diagrammatic pictures. Here you can see that this is one petal, this is another, this is third, this is fourth, and this is fifth. And if you see there, lengthwise they are free. Lengthwise they are free, throughout they are free. But if you look here in this figure, they have formed a unit and they are fused. And due to this fusion, this is called as gamopetalous, and due to this free condition, it is called as polypetalous. Similarly, we are studying estivation. So as we already discussed, there is no overlapping. This is valvate type of estivation. This twisted type of estivation, we are overlapping. This is inner, this side is going out, this is in, this is going out, this is in, this is going out, this is in, this is out, this is in, and this is out. And this you can see, this is standard. Then these are wings, this is one and this is another, and here inside somewhere keel are there. These are actually fused together and very small, minute and tightly attached. That's why here we cannot see, but this part is actually keels. Then next part is shape of corolla. If you see, this is completely circular shape, and this kind of shape is called as a rosaceous or rosette, which is what? Circular. Rosaceous or rosette means circular. Then if you look this papilionaceous, papilionaceous means what? Papillon is actually Latin word, and which in English means butterfly. So if you look here, it showing the structure somewhat similar to the butterfly, and hence this is called as a papilionaceous. The next is cruciform. Cruciform type of corolla where one petal and another petal is completely crosswise. This is one and this is another. So here in all the cases you can see this is called as a cruciform type of corolla or cruciform shape of corolla. The other shapes you can see campanulate, which is bell shaped, bilabiate, this you can see in family Lamiaceae, where this is upper and this is lower, and this is looking like a open mouth, and hence this is called as a bilabiate or bilipped corolla. This is stellate, means star shaped. You can see this in Amaryllidaceae family. This is ligulate. This is generally seen in family Asteraceae. Composite is synonym of the family. Then this is urceolate, see urn shaped, infundibuliform. This is like funnel shaped. Same Papilionaceae we seen in previous slide, and this is forming a tube like structure that you can see. So these here in Asteraceae family, inside flowers are there, and these are actually tubular, and these peripheral are ligulate. Then next is there that when there is a no differentiation of calyx and corolla in flower, instead of calyx and corolla, if only one floral whorl is present, then that floral whorl is called as perianth. So in perianth, what is studied? Number of perianth. It may be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It depends from flower to flower. It differs from species to species. Then number of folds of perianth, that whether it is present in one whorl or whether it is present in two different whorls. So here it is one whorl, here it is two whorl. Then cohesion means what? Perianth to perianth, means this one perianth, this another perianth, and this another perianth, whether it is free or this one and this one, they are attached with each other, that is called as a fused. So it may be polyphylous or it may be gamophylous. And aestivation, similarly we seen that it may be valvate, it may be twisted, it may be imbricate, it may be quincuntial, or it may be imbricate alternate. So various kinds of aestivations, as we seen in previous slides, are present with respect to perianth also. Androecium is the next whorl of flower, and it is one of the essential whorls of the flower. From external, it is third whorl of flower, and it is male reproductive whorl of flower, and member of Androecium is stamen. So here you can see this is perianth, and these are the stamens which are coming out of the flower, and we are studying this in detail in next few slides. So here let us start studying cohesion of stamen. As I already mentioned, that cohesion means what? A member of floral whorl which is attached to the member of same floral whorl, means what? Calyx to calyx, corolla to corolla, androecium to androecium, gynoecium to gynoecium. Same way here you can see that all these stamens are united together forming a common staminal tube. So as this number of tube is 1, this is called as a monadelphous stamen. If you look in the second picture, this is bunch of 9 stamens, and this one stamen is separate. So if you try to check out the number of bundles, this is 1 and this is second. So 2 bundles are there, and hence this is called as a diadelphous. In this case, this is polyadelphous. You can see this is one bunch. I'll change the color so that we can mark out. This is one bundle. This is another bundle. Here you can see one bundle. Here you can see another bundle. Here you can see, and here you can see. So there are multiple bundles of stamens are there, multiple bunches of stamens are there, and hence it this condition is called as Poly-Adolphus condition. Then another cohesion of stamen is there. Here you can see all the anther lobes here, they are fused, and if you look here, their filaments are free. This condition is called as a syngenesias, and this you will see in family Asteraceae. And if you look into this, here filaments are fused, whereas these anther lobes are free. Complete opposite condition to the first one, and this is called as a cylindrous. This you will see in cucurbids, members of cucurbids. Now see here the next part, that is adhesion. Now adhesion is different than cohesion. Cohesion means same to same, calyx to calyx, corolla to corolla, androecium to androecium, gynoecium to gynoecium. And adhesion is different. Adhesion, when member of one floral whorl is attached to the member of other floral whorl. For example, here in this picture you can see the stamens are attached to the calyx. Now if you look, this is corolla, and here this green portion you can see, which is actually calyx, and these stamens, see here, these stamens are attached actually to the calyx, and as they are attached to the member of calyx, that is sepal, above the sepal, hence it is called as the episepalous condition. EP means above, EP means above. I think color is red, we cannot see. EP means above, and sepalous means sepals. Here on the other hand you can see this is corolla tube, and member is petals, and if you look, I'll change the color. If you look, these are the stamens. This is 1, 2 and 3, and actually these stamens are attached here to this petal, and hence this condition is described as epipetalous condition. Now length of filament. Length of filament may be different in different flowers. If you look in this diagram, two stamens have longer filaments and two stamens have shorter filaments, and this condition is called as a didynamous condition, which diagrammatically can be seen. Here two are short, these two short, and these two long. So this is called as a didynamous. Di means two, dynamous means long. In the second picture here you can see tetra means 4, where 1, 2, 3 and 4 are long filaments, and this 1 and 2 are short. So tetra means 4 and dynamic means long. 4 filaments of the stamens are longer. Then attachment of filament to the anther. Now if you see, actually this is filament, these are anther lobes, and the point of attachment is called as a connective. Now if you look in this first picture, this connective is attached to the base of anther lobes, and hence this is called as a basifixed. In the second picture you can see that this filament is extended beyond the length of this anther lobe and this anther lobe. This is going up, crossing that, but this is very closely attached, firmly attached to the filament, and this is called as an adnate. Then this is one anther lobe, this is another anther lobe, and this filament is connected to the dorsal portion. This is dorsal position, here you can see, and here this is called as a dorsifixed. Then here you can see that this is one anther lobe. Another anther lobe is completely separate from the first one, and this filament is attached here at very small sharp point. Actually this point is fixed and this point is floating. So this can rotate in 360 degree, but this is fixed. This cannot rotate. So because of this floating or rotating ability, this is called as a versatile. This is generally seen in grasses. Then nature of stamen. Here in the first picture you can see that these stamens are remaining inside this corolla tube. Here you can see this is corolla tube and stamens are inside. On the other hand, this is a corolla tube, you can see, but stamens are popping out. Same, here they are in, here they are coming out. Means length of stamen is more than corolla, and here length of stamen is less than length of corolla, and this is called as inserted when it is less and exerted when it is more. Then nature of stamen. Here you can see that this is one anther lobe and this is another anther lobe. Same here you can see, and one groove is there in between. Let me clear all these things. Here one groove you can see, this point. So this is actually line of dehiscence, and if it is facing towards inner side, then it is called as intrors. And if, see, this line of dehiscence is inner side, this point, because this circle is actually pollen chamber and this is line of dehiscence. Here in this picture you can see this pollen chamber and line of dehiscence is facing towards outer side. This is ovary, this is ovary. This line is facing inner side, this line is facing outer side. So outer side is called as extrors and this inner side is called as intrors. So these are two different types of natures of stamen, extrors and intrors. The next part is there, that is gynoecium. This is calyx, this is corolla, this is androecium, and this is the fold that we are studying, that is gynoecium. Let's study this in details. So first of all, the number of carpels is actually considered. Now there are 6 different types: monocarpellary, tricarpellary, tetracarpellary, pentacarpellary and multicarpellary. Here you can see this is monocarpellary, this is by one and another zone, this is tri 1, 2 and 3, this is tetra 1, 2, 3 and 4, this is penta 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and this is multiple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It depends. So this is multicarpellary condition. So this is called as the number of carpels. Now next part is cohesion of carpel. As I already told you, one whorl to the member of same whorl. Now if you look here, these are actually stamens and they are free right from the base up till the tip. They are completely free from one another. Here you can see some stamens are fall off. If they would have attached to each other, they would have not fall off. They would have fall off as a unit, but they are separately fall off which means what? They are separate at the base, so they are free. That's why apocarpus. Then here similarly you can see these are the ovules. Every ovule is separate from one another. So stamens are free here, and if you see this ovule, this is apocarpus. Each ovary is free right from the base up till the stigma. Every ovary is different unit. So this is considered as apocarpus type of gynoecium. If you look into this, this is actually a fruit, but before development of fruit, it is actually an ovary. And in ovary, you can see that this is axis. These are actually ovules, and they are attached to the axis through these small placenta. And if you see that there are many ovules, and these many ovules are attached together, fused together, and due to this fusion they are called as a syncarpus. Syn means fused, carpus means ovules. Similarly here we can see here they are two together, two together, two together. So again this is also example of syncarpus ovary. Now position of ovary, if you see in the first picture, this is calyx, this is corolla, this is androecium, and this is actually ovary, which is uppermost in position, superiormost in position. In case of third diagram, where you can see that calyx is this is corolla, this is androecium, and ovary is down. With respect to this position of calyx, corolla, and androecium, it is down, so this is called as the inferior type of ovary. This is with respect to 3, this is up, superior ovary, and this middle is mixture of both, where we cannot differentiate actually the position, and here mostly this is cup like structure, and around the ovary calyx is there, corolla is there, and androecium is there. So this type of ovary is called as a semi-inferior ovary. Then number of locules. Locules means number of chambers. Number of chambers. So here you can see only one chamber is there, even though ovules are more in number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but still number of chamber is 1. Here number of chambers 1 and 2, here 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it is either penta, tetra, tri, bi, uni, or even it may be multilocular. Many chambers might be there, as in lemon or all kind of citrus fruits. Then number of ovules in each locule. In this case you just mention the number of ovules. Now here locule is 1 in number, but ovules are 3 plus 3 plus 3. Here locules are 2 in number in this case, but ovules are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in each locule. Here in each locule 3. Here in each locule 2. Here in each locule 2. So this is to be mentioned. Then next part is placentation. Now if you consider this pod is fruit, this is attached to the margin with the help of placenta. This is marginal placentation. Here it is attached to the axis of ovary, so axial placentation. This is peripheral portion or ovary wall. It is attached to the peripheral portion, that's why this is parietal placentation. Here they are attached little bit away from the center, so this is free central. Here this ovule is attached at the base, so this is basal type of placentation. And here actually see this is ovary wall, These are the membranes, and to all these membranes these seeds and fruitlets are attached superficially, and hence this is called as a superficial placentation. This is seen in citrus or lemon. Same placentations are represented here in 3D. Marginal placentation, axial placentation. This is actually TS of ovary. Free central placentation, basal placentation. Another example of basal placentation. Thank you.